Dear students, today we will study the last unit, second chapter, that is wildlife conservation and endangered species. Dear students, you know from your syllabus the last unit number is 4, and in that unit we have to study first chapter, adaptation, as we have already completed. Different types of adaptation. Very important chapter. Now today we will start another chapter from unit 4, that is the chapter number 2, and name of that chapter is wildlife conservation and endangered species. Actually, this is two different titles. One is the wildlife conservation and another one is the endangered species. But here it is given together. So first we will study the wildlife conservation, and then in next period we will study the endangered species. So today here discussion is only about the wildlife conservation. Name of our chapter is wildlife conservation and endangered species. This is the complete name of chapter. But today we will study about the wildlife conservation. So first question, what is the wildlife conservation? Because we should know the definition of wildlife conservation. What is wildlife conservation? So here uncultivated species. Uncultivated species of animals. Our subject is the zoology. Our optional subject is the zoology. So here uncultured species of animals in their natural habitat. In their natural habitat. About the wildlife. Wildlife, lion, tiger, peacock, giraffe, python, different types of the pisces, lungfishes. This different wildlife, uncultured means not cultured species of animals in their natural habitat is called as the wildlife. Remember, what is wildlife? The uncultivated species of animals in their natural habitat is called as the wildlife. And conservation means to take the precaution to save them, to escape them. त्यांचे बचाव करणे, त्यांची सुरक्षितता ठेवणे, त्यांचे हॅबिटॅट डिस्टर्ब न करणे, याला म्हणायचं कंजर्वेशन. So wildlife conservation, वन्य प्राणी सुरक्षितता. So uncultured species of animals in their natural habitat is called as the wildlife conservation. Again, wildlife conservation means protection to give the protect wildlife, preservation to show them, and judicious control, different laws of rare species in their natural habitat. It is very important. Where? In their natural habitat, in the forests, in the jungles. So there is the protection, there is the preservation, and there is the judicious control by framing the different laws and orders to give the punishment. If anybody hunting the wildlife, to give them the punishment. So that is called as the wildlife conservation. What is the main theme? So main theme is the protection, preservation and judicious control of rare species in their natural habitat. So this is the short introduction about the wildlife conservation. Today we are studying up to the here wildlife conservation, and this we will study in the next period. Now we will study as per the syllabus aims aims of the wildlife conservation. What is the aims? ध्येय, उद्देश काय? What is the aims of wildlife conservation? So, to protect and preserve the rare species. The first aim of the wildlife conservation is to protect and preserve the rare species of animals in their natural habitat. Then, preserve breeding stock, preserve their habitat, breeding stock. Then, prevent deforestation. Prevent deforestation म्हणजे वृक्षतोड, जंगलतोड, वनसंपत्तीचा नाश करणे, हे प्रिव्हेंट म्हणजे रोखणे. जे फॉरेस्टची कत्तल करतात, जंगलामधली झाडं तोडून टाकतात, वृक्षतोड करतात, that is called as the deforestation. So prevent the deforestation. जंगल जे मोठे वृक्ष आहे जंगलामधले, ते काही लोक वीट भट्ट्यासाठी, काही लोक वेगवेगळ्या पर्पजना ते तोडत असतात, म्हणजे डिफॉरेस्टेशन करत असतात. तर डिफॉरेस्टेशन प्रिव्हेंट म्हणजे रोखणे, थांबवणे. प्रिव्हेंट द डिफॉरेस्टेशन. व्हाय? व्हॉट इज द नीड ऑफ टू प्रिव्हेंट द डिफॉरेस्टेशन? सो फॉरेस्ट इज द habitat of wildlife. That's why we have to prevent the deforestation. Now, to maintain balance of nature, nisargache balance, to maintain the balance of nature, what is the aim of the wildlife conservation? So, if wildlife conservation is not done, then our natural balance of the ecosystem will be disturbed. You already know that ecosystem, different types of the abiotic and biotic factors. So each and every component of the ecosystem is very important. Wildlife is also the biotic component of ecosystem. That is also very important. If any minor component of the ecosystem is disturbed or destroyed, then our ecosystem will be unbalanced. For to keep in the balance, so we have to protect our wildlife. Then study natural habitat, another aim. In the examination, when the aims of wildlife conservation is asked, then you have to write heading, aims, and then write one sentence. Following are the important aims of wildlife conservation. And then give number towards one side, margin, first number, second number, third number, fourth number, in this way. Here, due to the small size board, I am giving a number in middle side also. But in examination in paper, you always give the number serially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in this way. Aims, even though it is very small. So, these are the sufficient aims or very important aims selected in your notes. Now, necessity. What is the necessity of wildlife conservation? So again, balance of nature. निसर्गाचे balance ठेवणे. Second number, genetic resource. To protect our genetic resource. Economic value. Wildlife having the economic value, more values. A recreation source of enjoyment. Our wildlife is the recreation source of enjoyment. Now, educational visit to sanctuaries like the Bharatpur sanctuaries, tiger sanctuaries, rhinoceros sanctuaries, different types of the sanctuaries, different types of the zoos. So, that is preserved for the educational visit. So, these are the some important necessity of wildlife conservation. This is also, if asked in examination, you give the necessity heading and then you write one sentence. Following are the important necessities of wildlife conservation. Then you have to write in this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First is the balance of nature. Then in second line, second number, genetic resource. In third line, third number is the economic value. In fourth line, fourth number, recreation, source of enjoyment. Then educational visit to sanctuaries. There are number of necessities. If necessity is asked, so you can write aims also in there. Now, the last point from the wildlife conservation is the wildlife of India. Which is the wildlife? कोणकोणते आहे wildlife? जंगलामधली आपली जी प्राणी संपत्ती आहे ती कोणकोणती आहे? So wildlife of India. So here the pisces or fishes, a group of aquatic animals. So from that pisces or from that fishes, the wildlife conservation or wildlife is the lungfishes. Then after the pisces, next group of animal is the amphibia. Those having the double mode of life, they live in the water as well as they live on the land. So that is called as the amphibia. So from the amphibia, different types of the animals. The hyla, Himalayan frog. Then from the reptiles, another group of animals, which are the creeping animals. So from the reptiles, wildlife conservation, the most important, that is the python, different types of the crocodiles. Then from the birds, wildlife is from the birds. From the mammals, like the lion, tiger, leopard, etc. So dear students, today we have studied here the wildlife conservation. Chapter is started wildlife conservation and endangered species. From this chapter we have studied wildlife conservation. We have studied the definition or short introduction of wildlife conservation. Then we have studied the aims of wildlife conservation. Then we have studied the necessity of wildlife conservation and wildlife of India. Wildlife of India. This we have studied today. So dear students, in next period we will study the endangered species. We are very near to finish or to complete the syllabus. Unit 4 is the last unit, and from this, the second chapter, we are studying here. So half of the chapter is we have completed. Then within few days, we will complete this unit. Then we will arrange the test. Then I will give you the tutorials for internal continuous assessment. So be alert. Don't waste your time. The examination form filling date is noticed. So fill your examination form correctly and start your study. So for today it is sufficient. Thank you very much.